Hello everybody, and welcome to a technique breakdown of my most recent mock ambush on Rhen. Now, for the purposes of this video, which is showing you the techniques I used to build this mock, I have removed all of the figures. If you do want to see the mock with the figures on it, then go check out the showcase that I will put the link to in the description of this video. So without further ado, let's get into the techniques I used. Okay everybody, so starting with all the loose pieces I used for the snow, you can see I have a ton of these patches around the mock, and they're using various drill bits, teeth, little curved tiles, small tiles. I even used some flowers and some of these feather pieces, and using all these pieces makes it really easy to get small details in the snow. It does look a little patchier, and you can definitely refine the technique a little more, especially if you have a ton of white pieces. And you can do cool things like this and make little areas of snow that look really good and really just make the mock pop and add some very needed detail to a plain gray base. I will start at the top and move down from here. I constructed this little antenna tower. It is not very good, so I won't go too in depth, but snot brick with various antenna pieces. The roof is constructed with this snot platform, and I connected this kind of barrier and just attach it on that corner. I really like using the panel pieces for walls on roofs. I think they add just a lot of depth to it. Okay, so moving on to the next section, I have incorporated a light into here, and it uses the whisk piece to incorporate a kind of bulb looking effect, and I think the whisk is literally the exact shape of a light bulb, and I really like using this. I have a tan one used more near the bottom of the mock, and it, I think, looks really good. Onto the actual construction of this section. There's not really anything too complicated. It's pretty much just a lot of basic bricks, except once you get into this section, I have used some brackets and panels to fill this gap and angle this wall just slightly to where it looks as if there is some angle or slant to it, and that matches up very well with the door, which is one of the things I am most proud of on this mock. It is at an angle, as you can see, and I was able to achieve this using various techniques. Now, taking it apart, you can see the frame is pretty simple. It just uses some brackets and snot techniques to make the angle nice and smooth. I was able to achieve this dark bluish gray line in the middle using spring loaders, as well as a stud reversal that just uses these snot bricks with studs on two sides, and connecting the two sides of the door with that. And I connected the whole door to the first section just using some hinges and brackets. The last section is pretty simple. I was able to slant it and make it line up with the floor just using a simple stud reversal with these pins. This is a really nice pin for these. It offsets it about half a plate, and I think it looks great. and that allows me to put it at a slant. And overall, I am really happy with how this door turns out. I will actually probably keep it built and maybe even use it in another mock at some point. Now, removing the snow and all the other portions of the build, you can appreciate how I constructed this platform a little bit more. Starting off, I have just some loose sections to fill the gaps between the building and the platform. And this section by the ladder is connected to the 1x4 you see there. And I will ignore the railing for now. Not too sure exactly what to call it, but I used chainsaws to actually make the handles to get off the ladder onto the platform. And I'm really happy with how they look. I think they're a great piece for this kind of stuff. And I actually really enjoy using the chainsaws in all kinds of things. I have quite a few of them as well, so I would recommend maybe picking some of them up just to see how you can incorporate them. The rest of this is just made using some brackets and other snot techniques to get it the right size. Now, moving on to the railing, which is actually one of my favorite parts of this mock. It uses one of these clip tiles and pretty much just connects to some inverted tiles and tiles, and it creates this really nice kind of curve outwards from where it connects, and I think it adds some nice depth to the base or platform you are working with, and allows you to get some extra room out of your platform, especially with a small mock. That is important to make it seem less crowded. The last section of this platform is quite complicated, and if I turn the mock around, you might be able to see exactly why I say this. This is a full 3 bricks thick, and if you look from the side, it intersects this section of the angled wall right about there, which these lines in the platform, if I can remove this section, you can see they are down about half a plate. There are a couple different ways to achieve this, and I used a new technique to do it in this mock. You can see there are 2 rods stacked, and then I put a 1x tile on top, and it allows you to get a half plate offset to your tile. One problem with it is that it takes 3 bricks, because you need support on the bottom, and then a 2x section for the actual build. And it takes a lot of rods. But you can see I filled this side with just a plate so that it doesn't intersect with the angled wall, which we will get to in just a second. This section has some grates on it, and the original design I took inspiration from was made by Deathwatch Productions. His Coruscant mock is pretty awesome, and I'd recommend going and checking it out. And that is pretty much it for this section. I connected it using a hinge, pretty simple. Onto the second angled wall section. This is the one with the ladder, and the ladder is very simple. It just uses the ladder piece that Lego makes. It is connected using some hinges, and this section is just some grills and tiles. I have also used a microphone for a little detail here. I enjoy using a lot of the minifigure accessories for small details in walls, such as this right here, which is Wolverine Claw with a phone, and I did not know they fit together so perfectly, but I think it's really cool and looks pretty good. Okay, so moving on to this platform, I use the same technique as the platform up here, just depressing the tiles half a plate in both of these line sections, and I am going to use this technique everywhere because it is one of my favorites for any kind of detail on a platform, and I'm very happy with how it looks. I think especially from like this angle, you can barely see it, but you still get the depth and kind of the glow of the color, and I think it looks really cool. Okay everybody, so on to the main section of this build, the section I'm most proud of and started with. It involves this plant, this kind of viney root, and I'm really happy with how this turned out. It uses a very large amount of loose pieces in brown and olive green, as well as this light blue, I will not say the name because I don't know, and this kind of pale green, also don't know the name of. And I think it adds just that effect of kind of it freezing at the ends. And I got the idea from my dad, and I'm really loving how it turned out, and I think it works with kind of the feeling of this area really well, and just fits in. The base of the plant, if I remove all the loose pieces, which you can see there were a lot of, that is all the loose plant pieces that I used, and I pretty much just had some leaves on the top and some leaves on the bottom, and put this leaf with the 3-leafed plant in it, and kind of just wedged it between the two, making a nice connection between the top and the bottom. And what you've all been waiting for, the most advanced and complicated part of the mock. On top, I just used this bracket contraption with tiles on top, just to fill a gap between this and the platform. And this is all connected with some hinges and slot bricks on the back, which are very well connected, which is really annoying for this. But showing you the back, it looks like an absolute mess. That's because it is. Okay, so going full in-depth on this section, I have this bracket here that holds this section in from falling out, of course, and that is a nice detail that I actually really liked in the end. I didn't think it would look that good, but this whole section attaches to these plates, which are connected by that tile, connected to that snot brick. The more complicated part is, of course, all the things in between. All kinds of random pipes, barely connected and barely held on, filled with tiles. I really liked using this whip piece, fit really well. On this side, I have this, which is a profile brick with a rope in between, and this adds kind of an interesting thin, maybe electrical wire or something like that, and I really like how that turned out. Okay, so the last section of this is all connected together on this middle panel, which if I remove everything else, which is pretty simple, just stacking plates and tiles on top of each other. This is the main hub. Now, it is all very tightly packed with every direction being filled. It is mainly connected together by this 2x3 plate on the back, and connects to various different places. And all of this is actually probably a little simpler than you would think, but it's made complicated by me adding this depth. Now, this side especially, I had to actually replace one of the sections with this panel because I had to have this in the back and I couldn't make it too thick. But taking it all apart, you can see it really wasn't that complicated. Just a ton of snot brick layered together and fitted in the perfect ways. And the best way I can explain getting that product and teaching you how to achieve that as well is just by experimenting and taking your time building things. And that right there took 6 hours of work, that one curved angled wall, the place I started with for this mop. So overall, all these pieces, all those techniques, I'm really happy with how the whole mock turned out, and I wish I could have kept it for a little longer, but I wanted to make this video as the first kind of mock breakdown, and I want to do these more often just to kind of teach you guys how to use the techniques I use, because I think there's some really cool techniques that I have not perfected and would love to see somebody else try and make them better. So, if you have any ideas for future improvements to these types of videos, leave them down in the comments below, and don't forget to like the video so more people can see it, as well as subscribing to my channel if you have not yet already, to not miss another video. Okay everybody, that's going to wrap up this video. Thank you for watching and sticking to the end. If you have, there is a little sneak peek at something I have bought recently, and that will be featured in a pretty new video that will hopefully be coming in about 2 weeks, or probably more like 3 weeks, just because I won't receive the rest of the figures for about 2 weeks. So, anyways, thank you guys for watching. See you in the next video.